Hello guys, my name is Buddhajit, and today we're going to be talking about trusting the process even when you can't see it. What does that mean? Now, the last video, what we did was we talked about grit. And again, we're talking about kind of like surface level ideas here when it comes to these topics, so that hopefully throughout the series we can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, trusting the process when you can't see it, I would define that as faith. That is what faith is. And what I said is kind of like how Jocko Willink talks about how you need to have a logical and emotional side of things. I argue my point is you have to have a gritty side and a faithful side. You gotta go back and forth with that grace for yourself, and then also your grit. However, I take that grace and faith for a lot of things. Now, obviously, I take also to the extreme of religious zealousy, almost to a sense. But what I would say for you guys is that still can apply even if you don't have that mindset. What do I mean by this? I'm sure that you've had many times in your lives where you couldn't just fight your way through it. A lot of the times it was just an act of, okay, can I just get through the moments? Can I give myself the grace to believe that this will work out, right? That I can, trying to work my way through it without having to just throw everything on the line, right? Go into a state of flow. That's what putting your faith into something really is. And it's not easy. I would argue that's one thing other people do better at than I do. But it is one thing that I'll guarantee you will see in your life that you probably have to jump into. For a lot of you, it might just be school. For a lot of you, it might be your job. Having faith in a choice, an idea, a project, and having the grace to know that it's all going to be okay. It's not as fluffy as it sounds. That's still something you have to fight for. For example, you have to believe in something. Okay, how much do you believe it? That's the problem here, right? So let's say you believe in something, and you really are saying, oh yeah, I believe it. Okay, well, I would hope that your actions follow it. And it's okay if they don't. But it's not okay if you say you believe in something and you're not even trying to, fix your mindset on it, okay? That's why, for example, we as Christians believe that, you can fall short, but try your best to keep, getting back on. Keep getting back on the boat, right? That's what it's all about. Now, for this episode, I'm going to actually be quoting someone that's, I would argue, pretty big, and despite what other people have been saying, I think he's a great character and role model, Martin Luther King Jr., okay? And his quote on faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And I think that is beautifully spoken. Faith is taking the long haul when even you don't know what's going to work out, okay? And I'm going to give you so many different examples in this video of myself and also other stories of where faith really did work out for people. I think I'll jump very quickly just in case I don't have enough time. I think I want to jump into the Bible. And the Bible, the very best story, I think, of faith. There's many different ones, okay? We could jump, there's a lot of tests of faith, and there's a lot of different types of faith. You could argue the story of Job is arguably one of the best ones. But just because we jumped into that last time, I will think of a different one. And I think one of my favorite examples is the story of David and Goliath, okay? Very good test of faith. But again, it's a little surface level for me. I think truly the best one is Moses and the story of Exodus. Now, why do I say this? If you guys don't know, story of Exodus, basically, okay, we're in Egypt, right? Egypt has a bunch of slaves. Oh no, right? Well, Moses is basically raised up in this area, right? And he himself is a Hebrew, right? Now, he is raised up with these Egyptians. And as everything else is going down, right? He sees one thing that goes bad, and he sees a man that is, basically treating these slaves bad, and he kills them, okay? Now, whether that's good or a bad way of killing, that's one thing. But regardless, he is a murderer, right? So he basically runs off, right? He runs off and he goes into the wilderness. And during this time, again, I'm really going very quickly over a lot of moments. He goes into this area in a cave where there's a bush, and this is where God basically reveals himself to him in this beautiful, also horrifying moment. And he tells Moses that you will lead these people out of Egypt, and you will save them, right? Let my people go, if you've ever seen that movie. But essentially what happens is Moses, this one man, right, this one singular man now, has to go back and essentially tell the Pharaoh, right? This is essentially telling, the United States president or a king at the time, right? Hey, you're going to do as I say in the name of God. That's basically what he's doing. If that doesn't take the utmost courage and faith, I don't know what does. And that's not just grit, right? Again, grit isn't a single moment, and there's been many moments like that, but when I think of true faith, where you're going in the long haul, not knowing what your next step's going to be, you have to literally trust the process. And it's not just trust it, it's, you're fighting through this. It's saying that you need to clench your teeth down and know, like, why am I doing this? Why am I going through this, right? And then days later, guess what Moses did? He parted the Red Sea. My point is, okay, when it comes to your goals, through your missions, you have to have this mindset where, what's the end game? What's the end game? If you ask so many people, why do I love this person? Why do I care about this goal? Why is my family important to me? A lot of times they'll give you simple answers. Now, I'm not saying that you don't love or care about these people, but my point is you should be able to get me down to the bottom line here, right? For me, it's because I love them unconditionally. But many people can't tell you the exact reason. Okay, why do you love unconditionally? What does that even mean to you? Like, you have to get down to these nitty-gritties so that if it comes down to it where your resolve is tested, can you go down the line? Can you hold true to yourself? When everything else is for grabs and everything else kind of falls apart, are you? Even when the road itself comes apart, what are you going to do to pull it together? That's what true faith is. And when I tell you, there's many stories of the Bible that really, talk about this resolve, you can look all over, and it's quite apparent. I would argue for a lot of the disciples when Jesus was about to get killed, that's a resolve. That's a show of when, their faith was tested and they didn't exactly make it. It was only when Jesus came back, then everyone was like, wow, this is the Son of God, right? Now, I'm going to go into some of my own experiences. I have always been smaller, okay? Always. I have never really had the best build or whatnot, but I never let that stop me, especially when it came to sports, when it came to other things. But I remember that I really wanted to get into this play, right? And to put this into context, I never had many people support me in these plays. I remember when I was younger, my mom didn't want me to do it, so literally I'd have to run. I would have to get to school, and then I'd have to run all the way back after practice, which is like late, it was dark out, right? And I had to run, I think it was like a few miles back home, right? And this was like with a huge bag of like books and whatnot, right? When everyone else was getting drove back, I literally had to run back home, basically across town, and it was hard. It was hard, but that's what it took, right? I want to get into it. I wanted to act. That's what I wanted to do, and I did good at it. Despite the fact that even a lot of people I acted with, we were okay with, but usually a lot of them, you could tell that behind closed doors they weren't a big fan of me. But we got through it. I did very good at that. Now, I moved schools, right? Just because, well, I guess we moved, right? But also the people at last school I did not like that much. They were not very good. I still have a lot of good friends. You look at my streams and whatnot, you'll know what I'm talking about. But at this new school, there was a play. And remember, I'm the new kid. Nobody knows me. It's not like I grew up there. And there's a lead part for a play called Newsies. Okay. Now, this entire time, my faith is broken down. I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I should do this. I'm not sure if I could. But, I'm getting pushed by a few people like, hey, maybe you should do it. And then I literally feel like I have a moment from God where it's like, okay, if I don't try my hardest at this moment, if I don't give it my all, if I don't have faith in this moment, truly believe in myself, can I really, I guess make it? Anyways, there was multiple stages of auditions, right? There was a dancing stage, there's a singing stage, there's an acting stage. Like, there's a lot of different stages to this audition to make sure that we got it right. Because they really wanted this play to, go well. Okay. Well, essentially, what happened was, I get through all of it, and then eventually we have the final one. And it's us boys basically singing, right? And we're all going through it, we're all going through the motions. And again, I had this thought in my head as we're doing this, and I'm nervous, right? All these guys are trying their hardest. They're all like, you can tell they're looking at me with smiles, but their eyes are daggers, that kind of thing. And in my mind, it's like, okay, why do I deserve this? Why should I do it? Like, I don't know why I should do this if all these people want it as well. And then in my mind, it's like, okay, but will they perform the best that they possibly can compared to you? In my mind, I had to think, and I'm like, it almost came immediately. I was like, no, there's no way. If it came down to truly having faith and working hard at this thing, they will never go the same mile. And so, I kept going. I worked really hard at these auditions, and then, again, eventually my faith was tested again. One of the guys, was actually, so I'm going to tell this. It's a little strange how to explain the story right here. But basically, there's this moment where we're having to belt. There's a part where you have to belt this one song. If you guys know the song Santa Fe, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're all belting. And then eventually, and I don't think we did anything wrong, but, I think they got mad at us. They're basically like, okay, we can't have you guys belting so loud, blah, 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 blah. Again, they're just getting stressed because essentially they couldn't choose between us. They couldn't. And eventually, they kind of send all these other guys out the room because, yeah, and then one of the guys, I think it was the male director, because there's multiple directors in this thing. He talks to me, and he's like, okay, would you be willing to do another part? Would you be willing to jump into a different part? And I had to think, but again, I looked and scared the ass. I'm like, no, I don't believe anyone else can do this part better than me. And so, that's what I was left at. I finish up the audition. We all leave. And then I'm thinking, I'm going to get some small display, which I didn't mind. But my point was I wanted to be honest. I want to give my all, right? So I kind of just back in my head and moved on with it. Very next day, I walk into school, and a very good friend of mine, okay, Diego, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, good job. I'm like, what do you mean? Right? And he's like, good job on landing the role. You got the lead. And then it was like in those movies, like all the peripheral vision just comes down to like a pinpoint. It was like, it worked. Holy shit, it worked. And when I tell you, getting that lead was one of the best experiences of my life. It really was. I would argue this is probably one of the best places I've ever been in. There's been other things I'm a little bit more proud of now. But like when I tell you, that is a moment that you don't forget. And if I wasn't a part of that, I would have missed out on so much. I mean that to the truest extent. And that's why I urge you so much. Work on yourself. Work on your dreams. Don't just let it go to the wayside. Like, that's what I'm talking about, where that's what faith is. It's believing in yourself when other people don't even believe in you, okay? It's getting to a point where, you know that you are on the biggest flagship because that's who you are, okay? Another great example is actually one I wanted to work out, and that's why I talked about being small, right? I never thought myself to be big. Even for this role, I worked out really hard to get into it. But even then, it's like, I want to get to a point where I can look at myself and be like, yeah, that's pretty freaking awesome. So then when I got into college, when everyone else was, hanging out, partying, I was the one that was going to the gym. I saw the process. I was able to get through all that stuff. And I kept working. And essentially, finally I got to the point where essentially I was big, where I was talking to the other bigger guys at the gym, and it was freaking awesome. It's these things where, that faith, those beliefs, you have to you need to follow through on it, or else it won't follow through with you. It's almost like a mirror, right? I would almost think of faith as like its own little entity that is looking at you. You need to know this thing's looking at you. You need to keep going with it, because if you do, this thing will stay with you. But if you don't, this thing will just whoop, like a ghost at thin air, okay? I can get into love. How I love my family. I love my girlfriend. But there's a lot of things that you just can't see. You can't see. You never will. And yet, I know for a fact, or at least I hope I do, that you believe in gravity. The moment you jump, what do you think's pulling you down? Gravity. You're not going to sit there and be like, well, I don't know. I can't see it. No, you know it's there because you can literally feel it. Because time and time again, you try to prove that wrong, you can't. You can't live your life out truthfully knowing that's not there. The same thing with love, the same thing with faith, and the same thing with pushing forward towards your goals and not giving your all. And when I say your all, I mean your all. And this is where, again, faith and grit come together. If you've seen the last episode, you know exactly where this is coming. That's why these two are a beautiful duel, almost like the right side and the left side of your brain. You need your faith and grace, and then your grit. Put this together, and then you're going to become an unstoppable force. But what I tell you here is, again, you can fight hard, but if you don't really believe in what you're doing, truly, if you don't have that belief, again, gracing yourself that I'm going to get through this. When I fuck up, I'm going to have to push forward. How are you going to make it at the end? I can promise you one thing, you won't. Or if you will, you'll make it there by chance because of someone else. But what about the next time? Or the next time? Or the next bad day at work? Or the next bad day with the kids? You don't know when it's going to happen. And that's what I'm saying to you. You need to have faith in those moments that you can push forward so that the other guy isn't falling down because of you. Because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to when things get tough and the other guy starts stumbling around and everything goes down to hell, what kind of guy are you going to be? Where is your good mindset going to be? And are you going to let your mind succumb to your flesh? That's really what it comes down to. And what I'm telling you today is that, again, if you can't see it, it doesn't matter. You have to believe it. That's really what it comes down to. Because again, unless you're willing to tell me today that you can prove gravity wrong to me, I can guarantee you there's many things in this world that you can't see. But I guarantee you believe in it, and through that, it becomes a reality. I'll end with this. There's a reason why, and this is one of the best hearings and teachings I've ever heard, and it comes to me every single time. There's a reason why dreams, people can't see them, right? These visions or these things that you want. Let's say you want to write a book. Let's say you want to be a pro athlete. Let's say you want to make architecture. You want to be a medic or something. Okay, there's a reason why people can't see it. Because it's your dream. It's your dream. It's not Joe Schmo's. It's not Sally Sue's. It's not Bill's. It's your dream. And so, if you want that to become a reality, you have to live it through. You have to build it brick by brick by brick, and eventually this starts to become an image, right? Just like drawing, right? Just like making a painting. You're not just throwing that in and it's done. It's not ChatGPT. Even that looks like some lifeless work, okay? What I'm telling you is you have to put in every little detail and sketch, and eventually something starts building, right? Something starts coming together. And as you work out, as you work on your skills, you'll see it. It'll start literally coming into fruition. It's like as you have this belief, an aura starts to build around you, and then quite literally, that lifestyle becomes you. That's why you can tell usually if someone's a fraud or not in a few sentences in a day, because does their lifestyle reflect that? That's what it comes down to. And I'm telling you, this here, faith, you're going to work as hard as you want with grit. I love grit because there are certain moments you need it, and that'll change everything, okay? But at the same time, if you're truly going to be you, if you truly want to make it to the end game, there's nothing else that's going to do it for you other than faith. To have the grace within yourself and to have faith. And that faith and knowing that what you can't see can truly become a reality, so those dreams can truly formulate into like reality, that's something beautiful. And that's what I plead with you today. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below, because obviously I'd love to see some more questions. If you guys want me to make a video on something else, let me know. But regardless, love you guys. God bless. As always, smile, keep your head up, and let's fight for a future bright. Search your eyes. My name is Bliss Out. I'll see you guys next video.